Good afternoon. You're tuning in to the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is 2 p.m. My name is Carolina Mejia. I'm chair of the board. I am joined by Vice Chair Ty Menser, Commissioner Gary Edwards in the boardroom, as well as County Manager Ramiro Chavez. Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and other staff are joining us via Zoom as well. Okay, it is, do we have the call-in line, County Manager?
Yes, that is open.
Okay, so for public attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel or join by calling the number 360-252-9020, PIN number 1234. With that, we'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Menser.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Menser, would you also like to do the land acknowledgement?
Yes, ma'am. We would also like to start today's meeting with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the indigenous Salish peoples who have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. Oops.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I would make a motion to approve the proposed agenda for Tuesday, February 8th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Menser.
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia.
Aye. Motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the board meeting minutes for January 25th?
Yes, I move to approve board meeting minutes from January 25th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Menser.
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia.
Aye. With that, we will move on to a presentation, a proclamation of African American History Month. And I will hand this off to our county manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For your consideration this afternoon is a proclamation where you be considering proclaiming February 2022 as African American History Month here in Thurston County. There is a very nice proclamation, I believe, is before you. So I will give the floor to Nicole Miller to introduce yourself and perhaps introduce some guests that have been coming to be part of this proclamation. Nicole? You're on mute.
After 2 years. Hello, Nicole Miller here, Racial Equity Program Manager. Thank you for having me today, Commissioners. I really appreciate the time in honor of African American History Month. I looked at the registration list before attending the meeting, and there were several people that had registered to attend that looked like they aren't able to be on the call today. So if they join us while we're talking, then I will mention them. But I would like to thank the members of our county internal racial equity work group who are on the line. I'm watching everybody's screens pop up, Gretchen and Keely. And then also we have our newest member, Courtney Wilson, who is also on the call. Thank you everyone for taking time. And then I would also like to thank, there are several people from the League of Women's Voters who are here. So thank you also for taking time to be here. And then I would just like to open up if anyone would like to introduce themselves and share a little bit or say just a few words. I mean, that they're more than welcome to do that.
Anybody else who would like to probably provide some perspective? Courtney?
Yeah, I would just say that I'm really excited to learn that Thurston County has this program. It's obviously near and dear to me just based on the fact that I'm biracial. So I'm really happy to be a part of the team, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Anybody
much,
else?
Courtney.
No, I don't see anybody else.
Hi, this is Gretchen Toller, Thurston County Public Health, and I would just like to say how excited I also am to be part of this team, and a big thank you to Nicole for leading us and for all of her work. It's really exciting and a great opportunity for our community.
Thank you.
I would like to say a note of appreciation to Nicole for her leadership in helping to get this established. I know that members of the League of Women Voters have been supportive of this effort for the resolution and for this commendation today. We appreciate your work.
Thank you so much.
Any more comments? I'll go to the commissioners. Commissioner Edwards?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to hearing Commissioner Menser read this proclamation. We've had plenty of discussion on this, and it's about time we bring a little local history into our proclamation. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menser?
Thank you. Before I do read that proclamation, I just say that I'm excited about the proclamation because I love history, and obviously this is an important piece of our local and national history. But some of the comments were made, I think, about some of the county's efforts to put, to put policies forward related to our racial equity initiatives. And it's interesting. This is, I'm kind of toward the end of my first term in government, and it's interesting when you first get here, you're not sure what's possible, and then once you see what's possible, you're not sure how to do it and how long it takes to do it. And then it becomes kind of frustrating, like you feel like things should have happened that somehow aren't happening. But now that I'm kind of at the beginning of my fourth year, I'm like seeing, certain things that Commissioner Edwards started before I got even on the board have come to fruition in recent months. Things that we started, we started talking about this in the summer of 2020. And anyway, it's slow. I guess my point is it's slow, but meaningful stuff, that you can get forward. It does work through the process, and it is impactful. And I'm really optimistic about what we're going to be able to accomplish with Nicole's work and some of the things that we're getting going across the county. So just wanted to say that. And if you're ready, Madam Chair, I can go through the proclamation. No, you may have a comment of your own. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I had kind of the same thoughts about that you did. It's been a long process, but we're slowly getting there, and we're excited to see some of the changes. And I know Nicole is doing a great job. So go ahead, Commissioner Menser.
Okay, very good. Thurston County Proclamation, African American History Month. Whereas during African American History Month, the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our cultural, spiritual, political, and economic development are celebrated. And whereas in 1976, Black History Month was formally adopted to honor and affirm the importance of African Americans in our country's history, advance the cause of civil rights, and strengthen families, communities, and the nation. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a noted scholar and son of former slaves, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, or ASALH, and initiated Negro History Week in 1926. And whereas the first kidnapped Africans were brought to this country 400 years ago beginning legalized slavery that lasted for 250 years until the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. And whereas in 1845, George Bush, Washington State's first Black pioneer, established the first non-Indigenous American settlement at Bush Prairie in what is now Tumwater, Washington. And whereas George Bush and his partner Michael T. Simmons built the area's first grist mill and sawmill, and Bush helped finance Simmons's logging company. And whereas in 1889, William Owen Bush, son of George Bush, became the first African American to serve in the Washington legislature, serving 2 terms, and introducing the bill establishing the institution that is now Washington State University. And whereas through determination and perseverance against all odds, African Americans have made valuable and lasting contributions to our county, achieving exceptional success in all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, the military, sports, and the arts. And whereas ASALH's 2022 theme, Black Health and Wellness, acknowledges the legacy of not only Black scholars and medical practitioners in Western medicine, but also other ways of knowing, such as birth workers, doulas, midwives, naturopaths, herbalists, etc., throughout the African diaspora. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims February 2022 as African American History Month in Thurston County and encourages all citizens to recognize the continued need to battle racism and to build a more just, peaceful, and prosperous society for all. Adopted this 8th day of February 2022, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.
Boy, it's hard to get a big round of applause when there's 2 people in the room.
You make enough noise.
Thank you, Commissioner Menser. Okay, with that, I want to thank all of our guests for coming here today and helping us in the celebration. Okay, so with that, we'll move on in our agenda. Thank you again for the opportunity for the public to address the board. There are some guidelines for public comments. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. So the general speaking guidelines are: please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones. The board does not respond to public comments. On a need basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outburst of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request, pursuant to Public Records Act, RCW 42.56. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the Board of Appeal. And thank you for your cooperation. I will go ahead and hand this off to our county manager to call out names.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to be calling the members of the public that I see in the order of the Zoom screen. After that is completed, I will move into the conference call. First, I have Ms. Susan Yochum. Please go ahead, ma'am. Unmute yourself. You have 4 minutes.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Susan Yochum. I live at 7440 Young Road Northwest, Olympia, Washington, 98502. And I'm here to provide feedback to the February 1st agenda planning meeting that was held. I watched it on YouTube and I have some feedback, and so here I am. And this is all around the firework proposals that I submitted. And in the future, I do believe it would be helpful if the public can be told when their issues are going to be discussed so that they will know when to hook up on YouTube. I just got lucky and found the information. I do not believe that my 4 requests were presented fairly and accurately. On 2 of my cover pages for 0668055 and 057, in the body of the what I thought was a cover page, there was a reference to the tribes. However, on the next page where I said see attached, and I provided more detailed information, there was not any words about the tribes. So yes, I had it in one place. No, I didn't have it in the other place, because it seemed to me when the topic of the tribe got mixed in there by Josh, that then the eyes started rolling, and there was a definite difference. And the other 2 for Title 10 and 26, I couldn't find any existing language in the county codes. So I just had to make something up. There is nothing anywhere about enforcement. And by the way, I did email the 2 pages I'm looking at to Amy before this meeting, so hopefully you have them. Somebody, I think it was Ramiro, mentioned that a tribal representative could participate in the fireworks conversation. And I think that would be an incredible help. The Squaxin tribe says they're, hooked in with Mother Earth, and that should include the forest. And I've heard you guys talk about forest sequestration before, or carbon sequestration. And these 3 peninsulas out here in unincorporated county are heavily forested, and that's part of the issue. There was also no conversation to my suggestions on my comments, that one of them was that the Thurston County Sheriff's Office utilize a smartphone recording app for residential fireworks like Bellevue has. And I believe I've sent somebody that link, and if not, I'd be happy to. I did share it with Thurston County Sheriff's Office because I've been talking with everybody. And one significant question I have is, when you guys establish a ban for discharge of consumer fireworks, what is initiated? What actually starts to happen, a chain of events? Because if DNR issues a statewide fire ban, they start doing stuff. They get on the TV and the radio, they close the parks, they have staff on site monitoring. And I think that a little effort similar to theirs is what should be announced. Like I said, I'm wondering what actually happens when there's one of those bans declared.
You got 5 seconds, ma'am.
Oh, man. Well, please read the rest of my documents. They're very important. The population has gone up almost 5,000 people out here on these peninsulas in 4 years. And I got that from OFM's population estimates. So I do have more feedback. Please read it. Please get back to me. I'm very interested in your responses. Because if you guys don't do it, if not you, who? If not now, when? And
Please wrap it up.
if not, yes, if not this way, how do we get action? Thank you.
Thank you. Next on my Zoom screen, I have Mr. Gregory Moe. Please unmute yourself. Have 4 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Ramiro. Gregory Moe. I live in Northeast Thurston County. Just to give you your early February update on the real estate market, there are currently, as of about 10 minutes ago, 138 single-family residences in Thurston County that is composed of single-family residences and condominiums. 138, and I'm looking forward to the county instituting their programs to streamline the permit process, reduce fees, etc. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Next, I have Ms. Christina Janis.
Nothing from me today. Greg summed up our situation in the real estate world, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I have Ms. Carol Goss. Go ahead.
Yes, I wasn't planning to speak, so I'll be happy to cede my time for someone else.
Thank you so much. Next, I have Mr. Joe Hanna. Please go ahead, sir, for 4 minutes.
I have no comment today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see, hold on, I think I have somebody waiting. Next, I have Ms. Grace Burkhart. Would you like to provide testimony this afternoon? Would you like to provide testimony this afternoon? If so, please unmute yourself. You have 4 minutes.
Oh, no, I'm just here for the, am I too late for the proclamation?
Yes, but thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it. That will conclude the Zoom meeting. Let me check the conference call. Good afternoon. For those members of the public who have joined us via conference call, if you'd like to provide public testimony this afternoon, please unmute yourselves, state your name, where you reside in the county. You have 4 minutes. None, ma'am. That will conclude public testimony.
Okay. Thank you for those who provided public testimony today. Okay, item number 2, county manager's update.
I don't have any specific items for you today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, and moving on to item 3, consent items A through D. Do commissioners wish to remove an item or have questions or comments about any of them?
No questions, ma'am.
Okay,
No,
with that,
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve consent items 3A through 3D.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Moving on to department items, item 4A, set a public hearing regarding operations of the Black Lake Special District.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this point, I will give the floor to Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Elizabeth Petrich to present the item. Thank you. Elizabeth?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The reason I wanted to speak to this particular issue is to just help the public understand, as well as reaffirm with you about what this public hearing is about the Black Lake Special District. It's been brought to you on behalf of a petition by a citizens group asking the Board of County Commissioners, pursuant to RCW 8538-220, to actually dissolve the district. And the clarification I want to make to you is you may hold a public hearing under this statute, but the only authority you have to take, if you choose to, is not to dissolve the district, but to suspend operations of the district. So there's a big difference between the actual dissolution of a district and suspending operations. So the public hearing, if you choose to have it, will be to take public comment on whether or not it's in the public interest to suspend the operations of the district. Are there any questions?
Questions? I see Commissioner Menzer's hand raised. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I was wondering, Elizabeth, like you said, there's a big difference between dissolution and suspension, but what is that difference? I mean, if it's suspended, what would it be for? Like, we would choose a period of time. What would happen to the bond that it issued and all of that stuff?
Well, those are all things that, so the only way you do have authority to dissolve the district under a separate statute, and that's a legislative action only. And you can only dissolve a district under that statute. And that statute, I believe it's 85-38-225. You can only do that if there are no assessments, which is a good distinction, and it ties back to your question about this particular district does have assessments and they do have a bond. So those are, if you were to suspend those operations, you'd have to carefully consider the impacts of how those assessments and bonds are going to continue, because you don't have authority to dissolve the bond or the assessments. That's been done by a separate action. So what you're doing, you're responding to a petition. Your current authority and issue before you, you're responding to a petition. So at the public hearing, it's up to the constituents to help you understand what it is they're asking for in terms of a suspension of operations. And then you will have to consider whether or not any suspension of any operations are in the public interest.
And is it kind of implied by what you just said? So there is a provision in the law that would suggest that we could dissolve, but it sounds like maybe somewhere else there's a provision that said, well, that's not true if they've got assessments or
well, that
whatever.
same statute, which gives you authority to dissolve, only allows you to dissolve if there are no assessments.
Okay, so that's pretty clear from what.
Right. In this case, the district does have a bond and it does have assessments. So the question of dissolution clearly is not in front of you.
I asked these clarifying questions because, to have a public hearing, which I'm supportive, I definitely want to get input on the things that we can actually do something about or weigh in on. I'm just hoping that the public is following carefully what you're saying and reading statutes so that we don't get public comment on things that are either contrary to law or maybe not contrary to law, but beyond the scope of what this board can address. So hoping folks are paying attention and looking at that and directing their comment to those items.
And I do imagine that the board of the Black Lake Special District will be attending the hearing, and they would be in a better position to identify what kind of operations they do have currently.
Okay, questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, I don't have any questions, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? So hearing that, is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280.
A second.
Pursuant to,
okay, excuse me.
yeah. Let me finish this and then pursuant to this is a motion that I will make for discussion purposes. Pursuant to RCW 85-38-220, to receive public testimony as a result of a filing of a petition to consider the suspension of operations of the Black Lake Special Use District. And I guess my question for the county manager about my proposed motion is, since we're not entirely certain whether the boardroom, whether we'll be able to do in-person meetings based on our decisions between now and then, does this motion need to be stated in a particular way to capture both possibilities?
Thank you, Commissioner. That's a good point. My suggestion will be the Building 1, Room 280, or a virtual public hearing.
Okay, so I'm gonna, with your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'm gonna restate the motion.
Yes, there's been no second to it, so.
Okay, I will withdraw and restate. I move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 3 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, or through a virtual meeting pursuant to RCW 85-38-220 to receive public testimony as a result of a filing of a petition to consider the suspension of operations of the Black Lake Special Use District.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menser,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Moving on to item 5A, Public Health and Social Services, Healthcare Authority Contract K5737, Lead Expansion Services. And County Manager,
I think we have Marianne O'Garrell. No, but let me present the item for you on her behalf. Let me just reach out to my notes, please. Almost there. Okay, thank you. This particular item is related to the LEAD program that will be the Law Enforcement Assistant Diversion program, which was piloted maybe over a year ago. So the LEAD Expansion Services contract has provided resources to operate a nationally recognized, again, a law enforcement assisted diversion program here at Thurston County. The LEAD is a community-based pre-booking diversion program. LEAD uses a harm reduction approach to provide adults with unmet behavioral health needs a systematic way to be referred by law enforcement and others to services rather than be arrested and incarcerated. This particular pilot program is extremely successful. Since inception, there have been over 100 referrals. 75% of those referrals have been done by law enforcement, including the sheriff's office and the local law enforcement entities. The result of that success is the Washington State Healthcare Authority has issued an additional grant of $1,113,152 and to extend the contract through June 30, 2023 to continue with this practice. For your consideration today is to authorize the interim Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign this contract with the Washington State Healthcare Authority to receive the additional $1,113,152 to continue with the LEAD program. Any questions?
questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions. We've covered this quite a bit. Thank you very much.
Questions, Commissioner Menser?
I have no questions, no.
Okay, with that, is there a motion?
I move to approve Washington State Healthcare Authority Contract K5737 for lead expansion services to provide intensive case management services to individuals through the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program throughout Thurston County for a total maximum amount of $1,113,152 for the time period of October 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023, and authorize the Interim Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any future amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I jumped too quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. This is an expansion of Thurston County has supported this program, and I don't know how closely the community is tracking it, but this is very, very significant. And we've got 90 people, I believe, that have already been referred. These are 90 people out there on the streets that I can promise you were in a cycle of going through the criminal justice system and emergency services that are now actively involved in case management with trained navigators and outside the formal criminal justice system. So this money will extend the time duration and expand the number. We're continuing to expand. We've got almost every law enforcement agency now bought in, which was a problem the first time this program tried to start in 2017, or I think it was. So this is just really exciting stuff. And the state is helping us by extending the grant. The county has to match this. I think it's 25%, and we're committed to doing that. But this is a lot of money to help us expand and extend. And this program, so far so good, is working really successfully. And I think this is just an exciting thing for folks to be aware of.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, now on to item 5B, amend Julota Case Management System Agreement for Lead Program.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item is related to the item B the board just approved. The Healthcare Authority, who provides the funding to continue with the LEAD program, requires for the county to access their system. And their system is the Julota Case Management System and data collection. And this system collects all the required evaluation metrics to assist case management providers in monitoring program progress. And the reason as to why we need to access this particular system is because there's a lot of security in private information that we need to be very careful as to how we manage that. So for your consideration is to move to an amendment of the current program, the current contract that we have with the state to access this particular software. And the amount is for $72,080. And again, the performance of this contract is similar to the previous item. It goes through June 30th, 2023. So I think one is in tandem, those two items. One is to receive the grant that you just approved. And this is to amend the current contract for us to continue to access the Julota system at the Healthcare Authority and the state. Any questions?
Questions?
No question.
None.
Okay. With that, is there a motion?
Yes, I move to approve an amendment to the Software as a Service license agreement for the Julota Case Management and Data Collection System used with the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program in Thurston County for a maximum amount of $74,080 through June 30th, 2023, and authorize the Interim Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the amendment statement of work number 2.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to item 5C, 2022 request for proposals for social services, and I see Tom Webster. Go
Good
ahead, Tom.
afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster with Public Health and Social Services. So I'm here to ask for your approval to issue a request for proposals for Thurston County Public Health and Social Services to receive applications with the intent to issue contracts for services related to homeless services and affordable housing, community development block grant, and veterans emergency shelter funds. So under this RFP, we have several sources of funds that we'd like to issue. These include the Federal Home Investment Partnership Act for about $700,000, federal CDBG Community Development Block Grant funding for a total of approximately $1 million, state consolidated homeless grant funding for approximately $308,500, local substitute House Bill 2060 funds for approximately $500,000, local 2163 funds for approximately $400,000, and veterans assistance funds for approximately $75,000. The total funding available is approximately $2,983,500. For the affordable housing and homeless services funds, those applications will be reviewed by the Regional Housing Council, and recommendations from the Regional Housing Council will be brought forward to you for final approval. For applications to the Veterans Assistance Fund, those applications will be reviewed by the Veterans Advisory Board prior to presentation to the Board of County Commissioners. And for the Community Development Block Grant, those funds will be reviewed from representatives from the cities of Rainier, Tenino, Yelm, and the town of Bucota, as well as the county manager before those recommendations are brought to you for approval. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And I will say, we tried to, I don't know if you received the amended, we amended the motion to add language based on our discussion this morning to indicate with the intent to issue contracts. I don't know if that's made it into your that language has made it into your packet or not. Is that
Good.
Okay. With that, any questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions. Tom got it done.
Commissioner Menzer?
No, good to go.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I move to approve the 2022 request for proposals for the Thurston County Public Health and Social Services Department to receive applications with the intent to issue contracts related to services for homeless services and affordable housing, community development block grant, and veterans emergency shelter funds.
Second.
Was there a second? I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Yes, that was a second.
Okay. I heard that, but I wasn't sure. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Moving on to Public Works, item 6A, resolution to apply for a grant from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board for an unnamed Dempsey Creek tributary Don Drive Southwest. And I see Elena here. Go ahead.
Hi, Elena Fernandez, Thurston County Public Works Environmental Coordinator. Among the sites under consideration for culvert replacement under the Fish Passage Enhancement Program is a site eligible for partial funding through grants. Public Works is requesting permission to apply for a $50,000 grant to supplement existing funding for the unnamed Dempsey Creek tributary crossing on Shawn Drive Southwest. This culvert has been assessed and identified for replacement under the Fish Passage Enhancement Program. The grant is from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board and is administered through the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office, or RCO. The RCO requires this resolution of all applicants. The grant would be used to supplement REIT funds allocated for the Fish Passage Enhancement Program to support the construction of this project. Once completed, removal of this barrier would allow fish to access about 1.73 miles of spawning and rearing habitat. This unnamed Dempsey Creek tributary provides habitat for spawning and rearing anadromous fish such as coho salmon, steelhead, and cutthroat trout. With grant opportunities such as this one, Thurston County has successfully leveraged county funds with awarded grant monies totaling about $2.5 million. This grant this project is in the proposed 2022 to 2023 Public Works budget, the 2022 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program, and the Capital Facilities Plan. It is also in alignment with the county's Strategic Plan Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community, and Initiative 9 to support environmental health and climate stabilization. And I will take any questions regarding this, this project.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, we've covered this pretty well as well. Good job. Thank you.
Commissioner Menzer?
No.
Okay, I don't have any questions either. Is there a motion?
Yes. I move to approve the resolution to apply for a $50,000 grant to supplement existing funding for fish burial removal on an unnamed Dempsey Creek tributary at Shawn Drive Southwest from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board, administered through the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, and moving on to item 6B, resolution to apply for a grant from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board for Thompson Creek Crossing at Thompson Creek Road Southeast. And now I'll hand it back to you.
Alrighty, thank you again. Elena Fernandez, Thurston County Public Works Environmental Coordinator. Again, among the sites under consideration for culvert replacement under the Fish Passage Enhancement Program is a site eligible for partial funding through grants. Public Works is requesting permission to apply for an $80,000 grant to supplement existing funding for the Thompson Creek crossing on Thompson Creek Road Southeast. This culvert has been assessed and identified for replacement under the Fish Passage Enhancement Program. Again, this grant is from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board and is administered through the Washington State RCO. A resolution is required of all applicants. The grant would be used to supplement REIT funds allocated for the Fish Passage Enhancement Program to support project construction. Once completed, removal of the barrier would allow fish access to more than 10 miles of spawning and rearing habitat. Thompson Creek is a major tributary to the Skookumchuck River and provides an immense area for spawning and rearing anadromous fish such as coho salmon, steelhead, and cutthroat trout. With grant opportunities like this, the Thurston County successfully leveraged county REIT funds with awarded grant monies totaling $2.5 million. And again, this project is in the current budget, the proposed or the current TIP or Transportation Improvement Program, and in the Capital Facilities Plan, and is also in alignment with the County Strategic Plan Initiative 8 and 9. And I'll take questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Maybe I'll just ask one, and that is, maybe you could explain to the public how and who you collaborate with as far as selecting the priority locations that you decide, because we can only do so many and we have to pick out higher priorities. So maybe the public would like to know that we're working with other groups on this.
Sure. So our program is very unique in the fact that you as the Board of County Commissioners have provided funding for us for this program. So what we do is we actually look at barriers that have been identified through the WDFW Fish Passage Assessment Tool. And that kind of gives us a list, a generated list of all the barriers within Thurston County that are county-owned assets. We then go out and ground truth passability, but as well as habitat quality and other factors such as that, including the available habitat upstream of our barriers. And we also consider some engineering aspects as well. So constructability, or, we look at like soils, that kind of help us determine structure and just ease of constructability. And one thing we consider too is kind of the most bang for our buck, if you will. So what, we could go after one barrier, but that may cost a lot, but it may only get us a couple hundred feet. Well, is that the most cost-effective method? So that using some of those methods or, some of those criteria, that kind of helps us generate a list of projects for us to then go after each year. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think the reason I asked that was because it's unusual that we get to see enhancement of a spawning ground, for an example, of 10 miles. Most of what we're dealing with is less than that. I just wanted to have you reiterate that. Thank you very much.
Yes, and this project with Thompson Creek is definitely unusual. It's the last barrier on Thompson Creek main stem that does exist. So once that's open, that entire stream's open. So it's really exciting. We're really excited about that particular project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menser?
No.
Nope. Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve the resolution to apply for an $80,000 grant to supplement existing funding for fish barrier removal. Fish barrier removal on Thompson Creek crossing at Thompson Creek Road Southeast from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board, administered through the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to item 7 on our agenda. 7A, Commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. With that, I'll hand it off to Commissioner Edwards first.
Because I don't know which ones I've commented on in the public forum versus some of our meetings over the last 2 weeks. Attended an EDC board meeting, an Area Agency on Aging board meeting, the Communication Center board meeting, the Fair board meeting, and Thurston Regional Planning. And I guess the biggest thing was new officers were elected at Thurston Regional Planning, and the Fair board, they're tickled to death that we're starting on some of the projects out at the fair, so the community can know that we're investing a little bit to make a better fair as time goes on. Yelm Boys and Girls fundraiser, the Big Bird Native Artwork rededication out at Yelm. And I might point out to the folks watching that I had I think it was a board member said that they've never had all 3 commissioners, because I was there in attendance with my seatmates. And it was, the tribe was quite impressed that we came out during their rededication program, the 3 of us. Lacey Chamber Business Awards meeting, and mostly though it's still COVID. As far as my time committed talking with citizens about where we at, when we're going to be done with this, when we're going to get back to normal, students wearing masks in schools, all such other things revolving around COVID. So that's my report, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Menzer.
Thank you. Reporting on things beyond my normal committee assignments. Salmon Recovery Council meeting was, I think, 2 Thursdays ago, and it was very interesting. There's a DNR plan presented by Commissioner of Lands, Hillary Franz, that I'm going to get some more information on and maybe present at the Commissioner's check-in on Thursday. I think the board would be interested in seeing what DNR's got planned. So I'll provide some detail there, hopefully. Thurston Thrives Environmental Action Team, Climate and Clean Energy. We are talking about how to, given the work that's being done separately on climate, we're trying to figure out where we fit under the new sort of thrust of Thurston Thrives and whether we should reconstitute our group and send it a different direction, maybe focused on water quality or something of that nature. Attended a Justice Not Jails forum regarding mental health resources in our community. Key members of our county team were panelists, including Carrie Hennon, who is the moderator. She's our treatment sales tax coordinator. Trying to think who else was there. Joe Avalos and Jason B. Mortensen from the BHASO that Commissioner Edwards and I sit on the board for that. And Jason B. Mortensen's our new lead program manager. Anyway, it was a good forum. They're going to have 2 more. So they're going to try to hit the mental health system in 3 sequential pieces. The first piece was like people in crisis right out of the gate. No criminal justice system involved. Where do you go? Who's involved? What are the gaps? The next piece is going to be, okay, you're in jail. What services are being provided there and where are gaps? And then they're going to have a third forum related to what's called reentry services, which is essentially what happens when you leave the jail. How can you, what pieces of our system do we have? Do we not have? WASAC, that's the Washington State Association of Counties, had a board of directors meetings. Those are quarterly, but they run almost all day. I came out of that with an assignment to the Public Defense Advisory Committee, which is a really pretty, I didn't actually know exactly what it was when I volunteered. Now that I see who's on it, it's a pretty significant committee involving key state legislators that are involved in criminal justice legislation. So I'm excited to serve on behalf of counties in that role. Innovative Justice meeting this morning, we talked all about it was all mental health, the whole meeting. And so there's a lot of focus right now on mental health system gaps. That's good. I attended the Chehalis Basin Board meeting. That is not one of my assignments, but I am assigned to the Flood Authority, and the Flood Authority has seats on the Chehalis Basin Board. I do not have one of those seats, but I like to track what they're doing because that's the real high-powered group that's going to ultimately recommend to the governor whether or not to build a flood retention facility, the dam above PL, versus. So there was a good presentations about recent flooding events, updates on the local action alternative, and a very important presentation on community flood and resilience. These are small projects that we are involved in. Thurston County's been the recipient. Bucota, for example, flood lifting homes and creating flood vents underneath the homes. These are programs through what we call CFAR program. So there's some changes happening there, and that was all good. So that's kind of the rundown for the last couple of weeks for me.
Okay, thank you, sir. For me, for the last couple weeks, I had a crab retreat. I reported some of this at our commissioners check-in, so I'll go over those items really quick. Had a crab retreat, which is the County Road Administration Board that I just became a member of. We had a Solid Waste Advisory Committee where we chose new officers. Nothing much to report on that, or the Finance Committee. We did have the JASCOM meeting yesterday. I think the only thing to report is that they are decommissioning their officers. Just there was some legislation that passed last year that affected them, and so the best way to move forward is to decommission those officers, and they are hiring for to fill in the position with us going to full county services, but they have already started providing that full county services to the whole county. I attended the 2022 Latino Legislative Day yesterday, and it was just great to see several speakers, including Attorney General Bob Ferguson, talk about mental health. I think that is a major topic right now. I attended the Washington State Association of Counties Legislative Steering Committee. Not much to report on that. It was just an overview of kind of what's changing on a weekly basis. And I also attended the Mayor's Forum with all South County mayors, as well as the North County mayors, I'll say. And that was a good meeting. We talked about just different topics, including how they're doing meetings right now was one of the major topics. My time right now has really been taken up with the River Ridge situation. I've been getting a lot of calls over that, and I've been invited to several community groups. I went yesterday to River Ridge, and I spoke with the students as well as with the superintendent. So I'm hoping that, I know they're currently in negotiations right now, so I'm hoping for a favorable outcome on that. After that, that is all I have to report. So with that, we'll move on to item 7B, which is the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of February 8th, 2022.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me walk you through your combined schedule where at least the commissioners will be present. My report will not include any meetings that you may have on your individual calendars. Tuesday, February 8th, today at 3:30, you have your regular Board of Health meeting. Wednesday, February 9th, you have a meeting with your appointed directors at noon. Following at 1 in the afternoon, a briefing related to the kept on salary temporary policy. You will be hearing about that. 2 in the afternoon tomorrow, February the 9th, you have a briefing related to Thurston County lakes. At 3 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to the OLE map, the scatter site. That will be an update as to how that project is moving forward. And you also have been invited tomorrow, Wednesday, February the 9th, to participate on a presentation related to the cannabis and youth. And I believe 2 commissioners will be attending that. Moving on to Thursday, February 10th, at 9 in the morning, you have a briefing related to the Mudman Complex, where staff is going to be presented to you the next steps related to improving that complex. Followed by, on February the 10th, 10 in the morning, commissioners check in, an agenda has been posted, and I will be updating that agenda to add an item for your consideration on that day. February 11th, nothing on your combined schedule. Moving on to Monday, February 14th, at noon, you have your standing Washington State Association of Counties virtual assembly. Tuesday, February 15th, at 9 in the morning, you have your regular agenda setting, where you will be reviewing the agenda for that afternoon board meeting as well as the following week. And I believe Commissioner Mejia will be out of the office the week of February 14th. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Commissioner Edwards and Commissioner Menser for covering many of my meetings next week. I appreciate you both very much for that. Okay, with that,
Commissioner Mejia?
Yes, sir.
Could you, on Thursday, can you be prepared to tell us anything specific we might need to know about the meetings next week? Because that'll be our only chance, probably.
Yes, I can do that. Thank you. Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.